How about Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers, Rob? Just became the highest paid running back in NFL history, signing a 4-year, $64 million contract. And let me say this. I think Christian McCaffrey is a great running back. I mean, he's a dual threat, which, there aren't a ton of those. But he runs it on an elite level. He catches it on an elite level. I'm obviously happy for him. I'm always with the players. So I like to see the players get paid as much as they can. But I got to be objective and look at this from a football standpoint. And from a football standpoint, as good as Christian McCaffrey is, I think this was clearly, unquestionably, a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm happy for him. Great. But when are these guys going to learn? Paying a running back that kind of money just doesn't pay off. And again, on the human level, I'm happy for him and all running backs because I don't think they get what they deserve. But when it comes to winning football games, it just doesn't make sense. Christian McCaffrey was awesome last year. Awesome. Set a record for catches by a running back, I believe. Check that out, Rob G. I think that's true. And yet, the Carolina Panthers won 5 games. The year before, he was very good. Not quite as good as he was this past year, but very good. They won 7 games. The only time he ever made the playoffs was when he was a rookie, and he wasn't even starting till the end of the season. Ran for less than 500 yards, averaged less than 4 yards a carry. My point is that in today's NFL, I can go get, an undrafted rookie. The 2 starting running backs in last year's Super Bowl, undrafted. The team that ran roughshod throughout the playoffs with a running game last year, the San Francisco 49ers, all their running backs were unballyhooed, if that's a word. Mostert, the one that set the, NFL record, he was on like 6-17s. He's a journeyman. Rob, the 6 highest paid running backs in the NFL, including McCaffrey now. So McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Devontae Freeman, they got one thing in common. None of them made the playoffs last year. And I can argue that the bottom 4, Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, and Devontae Freeman, they're shells of themselves. Shells of their former selves. So I'm just saying, strictly from a football standpoint, it doesn't make much sense to me. Congrats to Christian. Hopefully it works out for Derrick Henry. But in terms of winning games, it just didn't make sense to me.
You could not be more wrong. And basically, you're talking from both sides of your mouth. Hey, I'm happy for him, but he doesn't deserve it because
it ain't gonna win you football games.
But wait a minute,
job to win games. No, that's my issue.
What you should have had an issue with was when Matthew Stafford got was made the highest paid player in the NFL.
How you know?
Wait a minute. Let me just. He got a 5-year extension worth $135 million. The deal included a $50 million signing bonus and $92 million of guaranteed money. Nobody bats an eye when quarterbacks. How many playoffs? Matt Stafford's been in. He was the number 1 overall pick. Was never made the playoffs 3 times. No wins for a decade, and he got money, and people just accept it because he's the quarterback. The running backs have a right to break the bank if a team is worth. If a team thinks he's worth it. How much are you worth, Chris? You're worth what someone's willing to pay you. So you can't be mad if the team believes that you're right. They won 5 games, but it wasn't because of McCaffrey.
He can't be any better. No, and they still won 5 games.
But it doesn't matter. But they can't if you take him away from that team, they might not win any games.
They might win 4.
They might not win any games. So my point is, stop bashing the running backs and stop blaming them when their teams don't make the playoffs, because it's not always a situation of about the running backs.
Rob,
he deserved to get paid. It's just like when the Rams paid
Todd Gurley
his contract. They were coming off, they were rolling. He had a great year. They made it to the Super Bowl. And if it wasn't for him really being injured, he ran over the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. Before he really got hurt,
he wasn't the only one.
Like
the dude they brought in, Anderson, did too.
That's fine, but I'm just telling you that I think it's wrong to bash running backs when they get paid. The system works against them. It's not a fair system to running backs. I have no problem with him getting paid. Bravo, and thanks, and he should be happy that the Panthers at least took into consideration the hard work he's put in and decided that they were going to pay him. Because a lot of guys, and Ndamukong Suh, I remember when they signed him to this big deal, he never really, after his first couple years in Detroit. There have been a lot of guys, Chris, who wind up getting paid big money and it doesn't always work or pan out, or their teams don't make the playoffs. It's easy to pick on the running backs. I have no problem with this contract. Bravo to the Panthers.
Because you and it's fine, because that's why I wasn't talking out of both sides of my mouth. You addressed it from a human level. I'm happy for him, legitimately, for a human level. I love running backs. My dream was to be a great running back, so I'm happy for them. But from a football standpoint as well, what I'm saying, you watched arguably, Rob, the greatest running back in history, Barry Sanders. How much team success did that lead to?
Yeah, but that wasn't based on Barry.
Simpson.
But that wasn't based on Barry
Simpson, maybe the greatest ever
Barry
do
Sanders
it.
or OJ.
Played in one playoff game.
Yeah, but that's not
Eric
always
Dickerson,
based on the
maybe
rest of
the
those
greatest
teams.
ever do it. Never won the Super Bowl.
But that's not always based. It's not fair to just say it's that. I can list
from
you a lot of
team
quarterbacks who made a lot of
standpoint.
money that didn't win a Super Bowl either. I just gave you one. Who was the first overall? Matt Ryan.
I wasn't
what
happy
Super Bowl
with
has
that,
Matt Ryan
with
won?
that one either.
Dan Marino. What Super Bowl did Dan Marino? I could give you a ton of guys who made a lot of money at the quarterback position, Chris. It's not fair to blame running backs.
I agree with you that they shouldn't be, the discrepancy between the quarterback and everybody else shouldn't be what it is. It's ridiculous. Ezekiel Elliott, as I said, is better at his position than Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's going to make twice as much as him. So the discrepancy shouldn't be that. The quarterback shouldn't get that much more money than everybody else. But I'm just saying, putting all that money in your running back can hurt you. And we'll see how it works out for them. We threw it out to you. Did the Panthers overpay, make a mistake by giving Christian McCaffrey $16 million guaranteed over the next 4 years, each of the next 4 years? 877-99 on Fox. Let's hear what they got to say, Rob.
All right, let's start with Harry in Columbus, Ohio. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Harry?
Hey, what's up, Rob? What's up, Chris?
What's up, man?
The frequent caller, as you know.
Yes.
So I guess Chris, I got to disagree again with you on this one. I agree with Rob, because you have to think about it. These guys, Christian McCaffrey getting 16, Panthers actually saving money. Because if you think about it, he gave you the production similar last year, and whether you think Odell was highly paid or not, he gave you similar production to Odell. The Browns are paying Odell $14 million.
He's better than Odell last year.
No, and that's what I'm saying. But then you have to think about he gave you more production than Ty Gurley, and Ty Gurley was, $17 million,
that contract was a mistake.
Well, and I agree.
You're not making your point.
But I'm saying you're saving money when you say because to get the production of Odell, someone similar or someone in Christian McCaffrey's,
I don't know how you comparing him to Odell. It's totally different positions. Well, comparing to a running back.
How? He's giving you 140 catches.
107, I believe.
Or 100.
And they're not. Okay. They doesn't average as. They're not as deep as obviously Odell's are and stuff like that. They're little catches out of the backfield for the most part.
But I'm just saying that to get a receiver that's going to give you 1,000 yards and over 100 catches, you're still going to pay on the
You think he's going to do that every
8 to
year?
10. Possibly. What quarterback? You telling me Teddy Bridgewater is going to lead him? No, yeah, they're going to give him the ball. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be like Duncan Dak. He's going to check the ball down to Christian, and Christian most of his yards think about it.
All right.
Christian McCaffrey, most of his yards come from Yak.
All right, Harry, appreciate it. The Yak, yards after catch. Jim in Michigan, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Jim?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Man,
we are
doing
great, man. How are you?
Yeah, good conversation about this. You know, Chris, you got it right. You know, Rob, come on, man. I tell you what.
What?
You know, you look at one player, okay, in one season. That if I could get a player that had 1,300 yards rushing, what is he worth? What do you think, Rob? $8 million, maybe?
Maybe more than that in this NFL.
Okay, that's what he had last year. Okay, he had over 1,000 yards in receptions. Yeah. It's not big yards. It's like 7.8 a play.
But it keeps the chains moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, so it's like how much you pay a guy like that? Maybe, let's say $8 million. That's a steal.
There's 16.
So that's $60 million. You know, I mean, this guy is worth every penny for this team, and it really doesn't matter if they win or lose. It's all about keeping the best player on your team to give you the opportunity to win more games.
It is a short menu. It's about winning. That's what it's about. Winning. And they won 5 games. He gave you all that, 1,000 yards receiving, 1,300, almost 1,400 yards rushing, and you got 5 wins. That's all I'm saying. If I'm trying to win, I can get a running back who's close to as productive for less money. That's all I'm saying. And I can spend my other big money elsewhere.
So you wouldn't have signed Matthew Stafford with his contract. You would have said, I could get any quarterback.
Not for that money. I wouldn't have made him the highest paid quarterback in the league.
He was a highest paid player.
I said the same thing with Garoppolo. Yeah. Okay. When Garoppolo was made the highest paid quarterback.
Well, you're the only one because most of the time those deals people just like, well, what do you want the Lions to do? They have no choice. They have to give it to him because that's the market.
Because I would build a winner. I would build a winner.
Okay, you ain't no GM. Tommy in Idaho, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. Okay, Brandon in Massachusetts, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Brandon?
So thanks for taking my call. As you guys probably imagine, I am a Patriot fan, so it's kind of against my religion to side with Rob on this. But I actually do agree with Rob on this one.
Especially considering they don't pay anybody.
Here we go. I want to hear this, Brandon.
Really? Well, here's the thing. See, Christian McCaffrey, I think he's on that upper echelon of running backs. I don't agree with this whole you don't pay running backs because when they pay lousy quarterbacks top dollar, everyone's like, well, he's the next man up. But then when they do that with running backs, everyone's like, oh, well, he's overpaid. And the perfect example is Ezekiel Elliott. He's the best player on that team, in my opinion. When he was out those 6 games, Dallas Cowboys were 500. Dak Prescott was horrible. But then when he got paid, everyone's like, oh, he's overpaid. But then when Dak gets paid, everyone's going to say, well, he's the next man up. And the money discrepancy between a great running back and a great quarterback is so far apart. What you guys said earlier, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
The thing is, Dak.
Brandon, that's an excellent call.
No, and I agreed with that, right? I said I don't think the quarterback, the difference between the quarterbacks and everybody else should be what it is. I agree. It's a team sport. But Ezekiel Elliott's running led to wins. We haven't seen that from McCaffrey yet. We just haven't.
But it is not only because of him though. They got other issues on that team.
It wasn't only because of I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to win. And if I got to spend elsewhere to maybe bulk up my offensive line and get a lesser known running back who can give me close to that production, then so be it.
Mark in Sacramento, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Mark?
You doing? How you gentlemen doing today?
All good.
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. This is the one running back you do pay. I agree with the caller before me. He has some really good points. Here's the other stat. There was 15 touchdowns. That dude's scoring 2 years in a row. He's caught the ball over 100 times. I don't care if he's catching it for 1 yard. He's getting hit every time he catches that ball. That means he's touching it, he's running it, He's catching it. He's getting 15 touchdowns for them. Hey, Chris, talk about winning. How about putting a little bit on Cam, not him? Because this dude's been doing his job.
When Cam was healthy, they were winning.
And he was hurt,
No,
too.
they weren't.
When Cam was healthy the first half of 2018, they were 6-2.
They were giving this dude the ball every play. That's why. Running,
Stop
throwing,
it. They gave the ball every play last year, and they won 5 games. Stop it.
He deserved to get paid.
They won 7 games the year before. When Cam got hurt and started playing lesser than his ability, that's when they started losing. McCaffrey didn't get hurt. McCaffrey was still producing great, but they kept losing. Our man, Jeff Schwartz. Jeff, welcome to the Odd Couple, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing
We
great.
are good. We are good. Your family safe and healthy and everything?
Yeah, we're good here. Yeah, we're in Charlotte, and it got questionable for a couple of days, but everything seems to be going well in the city. So we're safe and we're good. And my wife's a nurse, not at the hospital yet, but
Okay.
I've been kind of up to speed on what's been happening. But yeah, our family's good for now. So
Thank God. Thank God.
Good. Well, look, the big story today is Christian McCaffrey getting the $64 million over 4 years. He's obviously one of the best running backs in the league, but paying the big money to the running backs hasn't paid off in terms of wins lately. What's your view on this deal?
look, you just can't pay running backs second contracts. I'd argue you can't even draft in the first round. Look, I'm an offensive lineman. Like, I love running backs. I play with Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles. I play with great running backs. They've helped me throughout my career, but I'm no longer playing, right? Like, I'm looking at this through many different lenses. I'm great. You know, it's great that he got paid and, you know, he deserved to get the money, but if you're a team handing out the money, why a running back? So everyone says on Twitter, well, McCaffrey's more than a running back, right? He should be he's a wide receiver. He's a hybrid. I looked it up, and he has 15 games in his career where he's had 10-plus targets as a receiver. And the Panthers have lost 14 of the 15. So a lot of those numbers, those receiving totals, are in garbage time, right? And we would say, we've made this argument many years for quarterbacks who would say that who have high yardage numbers, hey, look at when they're doing it, right? Are they doing it when they're behind? Are they doing it when they're ahead? When are they getting the bulk of their yards? And we're not doing it here with McCaffrey. So you're basically saying that we're just paying a guy for a bunch of empty stats that haven't led to a lot of victories. The Panthers have been good or bad based off of Cam Newton's health, not based off of Christian McCaffrey. So
yeah, but I got to jump in. I think that's so unfair. And I get the stats, the hollow stats, because I've said this, and the reason I gave Matthew Stafford the nickname Stat Padford is because of that. You know, because he's another one of a guy.
Yes.
And he got paid, and you see quarterbacks get this big money. Matt Ryan hasn't won anything. I could go on and on and on, but because they're next up in line, Jeff, they usually get paid whatever that is or the next highest contract, yet running backs seem to get the short end of the stick, and we know how it works. Because of the collective bargaining, those guys, their best years happen when they make no money. And then when it comes time to get paid or free agency, they don't want to pay those guys because they use them up. I have no problem with Christian getting this money. I really don't.
Well, I think we can have two thoughts here. We can say, hey, look, I'm glad McCaffrey got paid as a former player. Like I said, I love when guys get paid, right? I root for every guy to get money because if McCaffrey is $16 million a year, theoretically Saquon Barkley would get $17 million a year, right? Like every guy gets more the next time. But we can also say, hey, look, if I'm a team, if I'm running a team, Jeff Schwartz is running a team, I'm not paying a running back. It makes no sense. We've seen history now show that paying those guys, I know McCaffrey's young and he's been healthy in his career, but you're looking at how you're building a team, and the Panthers doing this weird, they're doing a rebuild on the fly, sort of, but I kind of don't understand it, type of thing they're doing here. And, a lot of people were arguing, well, he's a great leader. He works hard. Yeah, that's great. That's kind of like your job. And the Panthers will win or lose games if Teddy Bridgewater is good. They won't win or lose games based off of McCaffrey being good or not. So we just keep seeing evidence that a running back's important to have, but just you can't pay that guy.
Did you see last year in the playoffs, the running backs? Go ahead.
Yeah, but they weren't paid. They weren't the big-time running backs.
Yeah,
the two starting running backs in the Super Bowl were undrafted.
Yeah, but they're going to get paid because
they won't.
What they were able to do. They will eventually get paid.
They won't.
They will.
Jeff, let me ask you.
Every team that made the Super Bowl run had a running back.
But they weren't big-time. Like Rashawn Mostert had been to 6 or 7 teams.
But here's the thing, too. Look, the playoffs is a good example because Titans fans who argue they got to where they were because of Derrick Henry. And in the playoffs, Derrick Henry did play very well. But if you look at Derrick Henry's numbers, when Ryan Tannehill was inserted into the lineup, his numbers went way up. Why? Because they were ahead a lot of their games, and Ryan Tannehill was forcing teams to basically play cover two because he was hitting a ton of deep passes. He was crushing teams over the top. And teams said, look, we'd rather give up 4 or 5 yards rushing the ball than we would give up 20 yards on a big play-action pass. So even though I'm telling you, like they're good runners. Like Derrick Henry's very good at his job. So is Christian McCaffrey. But if you're building a team, you wouldn't pay them. If you're on the human side, you want to say, yes, of course they should get all the money that they deserve, especially with all the carries. I mean, McCaffrey, if you include carries and receptions, he's getting hit a lot, and that's a position that we know guys don't stay very healthy at. So I'm glad he got paid personally, but for building a team, use that money elsewhere.
So Phillip Rivers stole money for 15 years in the NFL, right?
No, he didn't. With a quarterback, you have a chance. You have a chance in any given season to win a title if your quarterback plays a certain way, right? Like the Falcons, Matt Ryan has an MVP season. They have a chance to win a Super Bowl. No team now in modern NFL is winning a Super Bowl if the running back has a great season. That's not happening. And we saw last year. A bunch of running backs had great seasons, but teams don't even make the playoffs. Like
Jeff,
you can have.
So
like,
Derek,
Jeff, why is it, Jeff? I agree with you completely, Jeff, on both the human side. I'm happy for McCaffrey. From a football standpoint, it makes no sense. I want to ask you this. Why nowadays does it not matter that the running, why do you think it is that running backs have such little impact on the game nowadays or big names?
I think there's the number one reason why is, like, when I was drafted in 2008. When I got into the NFL, and this is the way it was in college-ish in that point too, is that when we run the ball, we would always run into what's called a bad box count. So let's say we have 7 blockers, there'd be like 8 defenders, right? So we don't have enough guys to block, and they would just say, hey, running back, make this guy miss. So if you're an elite running back talent, Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, you make that 8th guy miss who we can't block, okay? And if you're a bad running back or just average, you're not making that guy miss. And so the running game is not going to work back then if you didn't have that elite back. Now, teams run the ball only when you have enough blockers. So if you're 5 blockers, there's 5 guys in the box. If not, you're throwing the football. Or if there's 6 blockers, 6 guys in the box. If there's more than 6, you're passing the ball. So you don't need to have that elite level runner anymore because you're not asking them to make guys miss. You have enough blockers to block guys. And that's, I think, the biggest reason why you don't have to have a Hall of Fame level running back to have a good offense.
That is great insight. I mean, really, that's a great explanation. I hadn't heard that anywhere, but that makes a lot of sense.
Sounds like a lineman who never got paid, but I'm good with it. Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff, that great stuff. Quickly, we only got about 40 seconds left.
Yeah.
Where are you at on Tua? Because we've heard all types of things. We heard Mike Lombardi say that everybody's worried about his injuries and he's not healthy. We hear Trent Dilfer say he's the best, prospect since Andrew Luck. Where are you at on Tua?
It's where the guy who's working with him thinks he's really good. It's shocking.
What a shock, right? What a shock.
I think the injuries are a concern. I mean, I think he's really talented and he'd be really special, but when you've been injured that much in college, I have a concern you can stay healthy in the NFL. History has shown that it's really tough to stay healthy if you're kind of quote unquote injury prone. I know well, I was injury prone. It's just some people's bodies are built differently and they just get injured more often. If you take a top 5 pick on him, it's a risk.
Jeff Schwartz of the Jeff Schwartz is Smarter Than You podcast. He just showed you some of that here on the Odd Couple. Great stuff, man.
Yeah,
and stay safe out there with your family. Keep up the great work.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good one.
Yep. All right.